In many laboratories and industrial settings, the biological safety cabinet essentially never gets turned off, and it's maybe wiped down between users. In our facility, where the laboratory hood might be used for uh, microbiology experiments or for training purposes or to transfer cells, and it's often off to save energy. So we have to have a procedure, then an SOP for cleaning it, and that involves antibacterial compounds, alcohol, paper towels, and lots of glove changes. Now, this is one of the very few times when the sash is allowed to be raised far above the warning dot on the left-hand side. And there you can see the technician spraying the area down with back down. After the back down is applied, it's going to be left for a period of time, several minutes, as called for in the SOP, in order to completely kill all microorganisms that might be there. Now, that aqueous step is done because we need to remove any media that might have been spilled or any microorganisms that might be growing on the surface. We wipe the hood thoroughly from making sure each side is covered with the back down and also making sure the entire surface is cleaned of any media or other materials. Now, after the back down has been removed with paper towels, we'll add some 70% isopropyl alcohol, and we will then, using new clean paper towels, spread that across the surface. And we'll also wipe down the walls about halfway up. Now, there's a germicidal bulb at the top of the back of the unit. We won't put any alcohol or spray any back down on that. We also don't spray the electrical outlets as well. And we try to keep from spraying it into the grill, but we're going to thoroughly wipe the entire surface down. Anywhere that it might have splashed or media might have splashed, it's okay to wipe the grill and make sure we get into the corners and on the edges. There should be no residue left after we get done. Now, while it's still wet, the door is closed, completely closed, and then the germicidal bulb is going to be turned on. Then we're going to leave it for a period of time to complete it, and we'll come back at a later time. Now, while we're waiting for the hood ultraviolet light to work, it's a good idea to scrub up again. This is a necessary technique. We'll do this 2 or 3 times while we're doing a procedure in the hood to make sure that we remove any skin cells that might be on our skin, any material that we might have picked up during the day. And again, we have another antibacterial product that we use for that. It's out in the sink. And we use warm water as well. Make sure you do the webs of your fingers. Now we can turn off the ultraviolet light, and we're going to raise the sash no higher than the red dot on the left-hand side there, the sash warning dot. And we'll run it again for about 20 minutes to establish laminar flow inside the hood and to evaporate the alcohol. Now, as you can see, the technician is preparing the hood. We've got pipettes, a pipette handle, gloves, and some other materials that need to go under the hood. Gloves can be deposited there. We always want to have extra gloves under the hood because we do a lot of glove changes. You're better to have too many gloves than to have to leave the hood and then come back. We're going to use keep some alcohol pads in there in case we need them. Sometimes we have to use alcohol pad on a drip that might have gotten in there, or may have to re-clean a surface. There you see the technician is looking at the integrity of the pipettes before they put in there. There were a couple of pipettes that had been torn at one end or the other and put back in the drawer. That's not a good thing, but we always want to guard against that so that we don't use a pipette that's potentially contaminated. Here we're putting isopropyl, 70% isopropyl, onto a paper towel and then wiping the outside surfaces of the pipettes. And that's because they've been outside of their sterile sleeves. They've been in a drawer, so they have a chance to pick up sterile dust, or maybe somebody's picked them up and then put them back down and there's bacteria or microorganisms. Gently wipe the handle down. It's not necessary to be too aggressive, but these get used outside the hood for a lot of non-sterile materials, and we want to make sure they're clean when they go into the hood. In this procedure, we're going to use Petri plates. So we're going to wipe down the area around the Petri plates so that any contamination is gone, and we won't have a transfer from the outside of the plate to our gloves to whatever we're working on. And we're going to, next we're going to set up the biohazard trash so that it's usable. We're going to leave the top just about halfway on. You can leave it all the way off if you like. And we're going to set it there in the middle of the hood so that we have access to it, and we can deposit pipettes and other materials. And then finally, the last step, we're going to put our notes onto the door.